Good morning and welcome to this week's Grow, where we gather to recharge, organize, and work here as members of MWEG. We are glad that you are joining us today as we have Meredith Gardner, our Director of Media Literacy, joining us to talk about researching candidates and how this goes hand in hand with being a media literate person, and how much we talk about that here at MWEG. She will talk about how that also can help you as you are maybe preparing to host a voter preparation party in preparation for the election. So I just want to welcome Meredith today. Let's see. Perfect.
Awesome.
Hi, Meredith. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn the time over to you. And then if you have any questions, I'll just pop in. Is that good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Rachel. Awesome. So my name is Meredith Gardner. I'm the Director of Media Literacy for MWEG, and I'm really excited to be on with you today talking about how to research candidates and issues for your ballot. We at MWEG really believe that it's important to have informed voters, and an informed voter is usually a voter who's more principled, who understands that it's important to vote not just because of a person's party affiliation, but about what they stand for. And so that's something we really encourage our members to do during election season, is to take the time to research the candidates and issues that are on their ballot. And so as you prepare for election season, I would just really encourage you to take a little bit of time, however much time you can, and spend some time researching candidates. And it can be tough to know where the good information is. I know, I think we were watching football yesterday. My parents are visiting and my dad likes the NFL. And so while we were watching football yesterday, there was tons of commercials on and political ads. And so we'll talk a little bit about what's a good place to find information about candidates, maybe what's not so great. But I'm going to share my screen as we get started. Okay. You can see that okay? Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to go off of a meme set that we posted on Monday on our Instagram page for MWEG. And it's called 7 Places to Find Good Information on Candidates. And this can feel like a lot, so I just want you to kind of take what you need from this and just do your best as you prepare to vote. Some people have a ton of races on their ballots. Some people only have a few. And so, you know yourself best and what kind of time you have. And so just, be kind to yourself and do your best. And we'll have some tips for you at the end for how you can kind of break up doing this research. The first tip is a great website called Vote 411. It's produced by the League of Women Voters, and the League of Women Voters is we at MWEG, we're big fans of the League of Women Voters. They're a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that's for many years put out voter guides in cities and states to help people be informed voters. And they also have this great website called Vote 411. I'm just going to pull that up. And you can come on here and you can do all these different things. You can register to vote, you can check your registration, you can find out what's on your ballot, and you can enter your street address. And if you enter your street address, I'm not going to put mine in because I don't want it to be on the internet, but you can totally look up your street address and it will bring up the candidates and issues that are on your ballot. And it will also bring up information about each candidate. They put out a survey, and so some candidates will respond to the survey, some candidates won't. But whoever's responded, they will have responses from those candidates about different issues and about their background. Super helpful. Highly recommend checking that out. So that's Vote 411. The second website is Ballotpedia. And Ballotpedia is another nonprofit organization similar to League of Women Voters in the way that their website's set up. It's more of like, they make it Ballotpedia. It's supposed to be kind of like Wikipedia or encyclopedia, is why they named it that way. And you can go on their website and look up different issues surrounding the election as well as your specific ballot. So You can see on here they have all kinds of like articles on the right side of their page. They have all kinds of resources about like mail-in voting, about how elections work. It's just a great resource. But on this website as well, you can look up your sample ballot, and it will very similarly to Vote 411 provide you with what's on your ballot and information about those issues and candidates that they have been able to collect. I will say that for both Vote 411 and Ballotpedia, I've had experiences where it's not always complete. So I wouldn't solely rely on those to see what's on your ballot, because they sometimes aren't able to gather all the information before it gets posted to their website. So just keep that in mind. Um, the next one is candidate websites. So going back to what I said about Ballotpedia and Vote 411, a great place to go um, to see what everything that's on your ballot that we would hope you will do anyway is just go to your county election office page. There's usually a sample ballot lookup. You can look that up and print it out and see exactly who is on your ballot, and you can take notes even on that paper ballot and take it with you to vote. A lot of election officials will not allow you to take a phone in with you, so it's really important to have some kind of paper notes if you have a lot on your ballot and you're not sure you're going to remember. So just that aside for you. So the next thing we're going to talk about is candidate websites. And it's super simple to Google a candidate's name and the office they're running for to find their website. And I have to do this a lot personally. Texas, I live in Texas. We always have a ton of judges on our ballot. And I don't know anything about the judges, but I want to try to be educated about them and try to make an informed choice and not just vote to retain everyone. So I often will do this, especially with those lesser known candidates. Um, Here in Texas, we have a Senate race, and MWEG does not endorse candidates for any office. But in Texas, we have a Senate race between Ted Cruz, who's the Republican candidate, and Colin Allred, who's the Democratic candidate. And so, if I wanted to know more information about either of those, if I just search for their name, it brings up their candidate websites. And then you can look at, like on here is Meet Ted. You can sign up for campaign updates, and then it um, gives you a list of things he's accomplished. And then it does the same thing if I wanted more information about Colin Allred, and I could go to his website. And usually all of these web pages will have information about where they stand on different issues. And it also often has endorsements. So you can see what organizations they associate themselves with. And that's really important and helpful when you don't know much about the candidate. And a lot of down ballot races, um, city councilman, um, county commissioner, still get some kind of endorsements. And so, definitely check out their websites if they have one. Sometimes people only have a Facebook page, so you can look for that as well. Um, but those are a good couple of resources for you. Local and national news organizations. These are great for finding out information about a candidate's background or experience or stances on a topic. Some local and national news organizations will endorse candidates and like in their opinion page, which is separate from the news reporting they do. And then they will, when they endorse a candidate, they'll often explain why. And that can be helpful in, understanding some of the pros and cons of different candidates. But it's really important, especially nowadays, as local media has been shrinking. There's not as many organizations available anymore. A lot of fake local news websites or hyper partisan local news websites have been popping up. So as you look for information about candidates, make sure the news organization you're looking at is well established. And if you're not sure, you can always just Google search the name of that news organization, and that will bring up information about how long it's been established and whether there's any um, bias and who owns it and that kind of thing. Um, One that we use a lot here in Texas is called the Texas Tribune. It's a nonprofit news source, and you can see this is just their main landing page. You can even click, they have right here voting guides, and it gives you all the information about the key voting dates and voting voters with disabilities and that kind of thing. And then you can also go back and it has Texas election coverage. So this is a really useful resource for our local races here in Texas. And I know pretty much every state has a resource like that. Okay, debates. So I'm not just talking about presidential debates here. A lot of local offices have candidate debates. This can even be like state legislature offices will have debates or forums. Um, I know there's a debate that's happening. So, sometimes people feel like presidential debates or vice presidential debate that just happened, people might not be as enthusiastic about that because they feel like they're not going to learn anything they don't already know from those debates. But especially in down ballot races, state and local races, debates can be super helpful in getting a sense of a person's demeanor, um, for their tone, for how they interact with others, and it can make really clear the differences in policy that candidates have. So I was looking for debates local, and there's going on our Senate race here in Texas. There's a debate scheduled with Colin Allred and Ted Cruz next week. And I'm sure if I don't get the chance to watch it live, they almost always get posted on like YouTube or whoever hosts it. Like if a radio station hosts it, they'll often post a recording. So that's a great thing to look for, is if there were any debates between the candidates. And if you have time to watch it, um, that can be super useful. There's usually some kind of news article summarizing it if you don't have that kind of time. So, state voter guides. So I love the idea of a state voter guide. Not every state produces an official voter guide, but many do. I know Washington does one. I know Colorado does one. And state voter guides are usually put out, especially in states that offer automatic mail-in ballots. So states that send out mail-in ballots to every registered voter will often produce a state voter guide that they send with the ballot. And these usually include information about registration and logistics, the official ballot language, neutral analysis on candidates and issues. I've seen various like survey methods and things that they allow candidates to report their beliefs and their different stances. And then also financial impact estimates. And so that can be super useful if there's like a ballot initiative and you're not sure what the financial impact will be on the state. A lot of times they will include that. And so since I knew Colorado was one that produced one, I just Googled Colorado State Election Guide and popped up. It says ballot information booklet, blue book, and I was able to download it. So this is their state information booklet. I know a lot of times like public libraries will also carry these kinds of things for free. So it explains what the different ballot language means. Um, this one includes judicial performance evaluations, which sounds super useful. I wish we had that in our state. Um, and fiscal impact statements, and then how to vote, where to register, what's on your ballot. So these are super helpful. It's like a one-stop shop for information about your ballot if it's available in your state. So to check that, I would just Google like your state and election guide. So Arizona election guide, Utah election guide, and see if something comes up that's official from the state government.
Meredith, have you looked into BallotWise? I know we talked about Ballotpedia, but I was looking at ballotwise.org as being like a helping people. Like I know that they can go to their state similar to like some of those other sites
Hmm.
and put in their put in their address and get a sample ballot so they can do like a practice ballot there. I
It's
was
just
just
called
wondering if
Ballot
that was
Wise.
some ballot-wise.org.
Ballot Wise. Trying to look it up right now, and I'm not seeing it come up. I'm not familiar with it,
Oh,
but that sounds cool.
okay.
Okay, I see it now. Be prepared to vote with Ballot Wise. I'm not familiar with it, but it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, so I was just scrolling through and it says to simplify your voting experience and bring transparency to the electoral process.
Awesome.
Preview your ballot. So if people can have access, if you put in your zip code, you can see what your sample ballot would look like, and compare. This is also another compare candidates and make informed decisions before going to the polls. So that's just another resource that I had seen. I didn't know if that was something you were familiar with. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That could definitely be worth checking out. I'll have to look at that more. It sounds pretty similar to Vote 411 or Ballotpedia. Yeah, so
yeah.
that could be really helpful. Okay. And then the last thing I want to suggest is hosting a voter prep party or attending at a voter prep party. So voter prep parties are peaceful, nonpartisan get together. It's an opportunity to research your ballot with a group of people. So a lot of times when you go to a voter prep party or you host one, you actually assign out different parts of the ballot for other people to research. And then you meet all together and you collaborate and you share the research you learned about the candidate. And it's not about like persuading anybody to vote a certain way. It's just about sharing what you learned to help everybody spend less time researching because I know everybody's busy. Plus, they're super fun. This is our voter prep party website. Um, we have some amazing materials this year. We've been spending a lot of time and effort on making sure that this can be something that's easy to do, that's fun. There's games. And so you can do this, you could do a voter prep party in person, you could do it online, you could do it asynchronously, you could do it as part of a Halloween party or a book club. There's just a lot of possibilities to make this easy for you. Um, and I know you can fill this out on our website and register and you get all the free materials. It includes a slideshow and all kinds of printouts and things. And I know that we're still looking for people to host voter prep parties in states like Arizona and Nevada and Idaho, especially. And there's even still some stipends. We were able to get some money to be able to offer hosts a small stipend to help them pay for their voter prep party food and materials. So if that's something you're interested in, please let us know because we would love for you to host a voter prep party. Um, yeah, a couple other things. Um, I would just encourage you in things that are difficult to research. I know, like in our area, there's some different school board bond issues and that kind of thing. Um, just to really take your time to Google those things and do your best to make an informed decision. There is a lot of resources, not just about candidates, but also about ballot issues for you to look up. And newspapers can be a great way to find like a balanced, hopefully balanced source to understand those issues. Because I know sometimes even on my ballot, I read it and I'm like, I don't know what this bond issue means. I don't know what it would do. And so, the sooner you can get your sample ballot printed off and start researching those, the better. But I would just really encourage you guys to take the time to research your ballot and the candidates and the issues and make an informed choice. And um I know that as I've done that, especially in the more recent elections, I have felt super confident in my choices. And I've known that like I voted based on principles that I felt comfortable with and not necessarily just because somebody belonged to a particular party. So I hope this helps. Next week, we're going to have information coming out for Media Literacy Monday on our Instagram page and Facebook about how to find information about where to vote, like different election logistics. And it's really important that you make sure you're finding reliable information about all this stuff about candidates. I know I mentioned seeing some political ads on TV. Political ads are not a good way to find candidate information because it's actually not illegal for people to lie on political ads. They can totally lie and not get into any trouble for it. So it's just really important for you to do this research, to not rely on campaign ads, to not rely on things like robocalls or text messages that could come that might be sources of false information, and just know where you can actually go to find good information so your voice is heard this election season. And I hope that helps.
Yes, I think that's super helpful. And if you live in a state that has a voter guide, you should have already received that in the mail if you're a
Mhm.
registered voter. And you can go through that. And a lot of that has some of this information that you were talking about, Meredith. It'll go through each candidate, it'll give you a brief description of the things that they're running on. And it will also show that voter guide will also show pros and cons for certain ballot initiatives. So you can kind of hear that. And as you were talking about the ballot initiatives, I was thinking that you have to read through them maybe once or twice to really make sure that there's no tricky information or
Uh-huh.
tricky wording so that you
Mhm.
understand exactly what it is that you are saying yes or no to. Because those are, those are just a yes or no. Do you want this? Do you want this proposition or whatever? It might be in your area. So those are, I think, the voter guides, if you have that, is also a really great thing. And if you're considering hosting a voter preparation party, in the past, that's something that I used. It was a year where we had a lot of ballot initiatives. So instead of going through candidates, we went through ballot initiatives
Mhm.
only, which is a very nonpartisan way to go through. And it was great because we had discussions of how some of those things might affect different people's families or incomes or lives, you know, or the community, different things like that. So I would put in a little plug for using your voter prep guide that the state supplies as well.
Yeah,
But I
and that's a
know
good.
not all states
No,
do
I
that.
think I
So
saw something like only 18 states or something produce
oh
a voter guide. So it's not a lot. It's not even half, I don't think. But yeah, I love what you mentioned there too about that you did a voter prep party just about the ballot initiatives. Like people can do a voter prep party on any part of the ballot they like. Like this year, you could totally leave off like federal races if you wanted and just do down ballot stuff. If you were concerned about it becoming partisan. Um, so yeah, you can
yeah,
do.
and a lot of those local candidate races, um, you might find that people that are attending your voter prep party have information you just didn't know. If it's
Yep.
somebody like for your town council or for your school board, they may know those people personally and be able to give them like I mean, it's not supposed to be persuasive, right? But they might be able to give them like a personal endorsement on their character, which
Mhm.
is helpful in making those decisions. So
Absolutely.
those are all really good things. I think that's one of the things that makes voter prep parties super valuable is that when you get to have this discussion with people, they're sharing their life experience of why they might or might not vote for a candidate, why they might or might not vote for initiatives. And it kind of gives you something to consider the other person, right?
Yeah.
So you get to hear their personal story. So thank you so much, Meredith, for being on today's Grow and always for coming and giving us such great information of how we can use media literacy to be prepared, especially for this upcoming election. And for all of you, thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next time.